All right, guys, today we're talking about what traffic tickets can you get as a result of being in a car accident? Well, the answer is many of them. Little interesting thing here, right? It's not illegal in and of itself to get in a car accident or even to cause a car accident. Like, there is no ticket for the mere act of being in a collision or an accident. It's the driving behavior that led to that accident that is presumably the violation of the Illinois Vehicle Code, and that's what you get ticketed for. Little nuanced there, but I think it's worth talking about at the top of this because probably 99 times out of 100, the officers writing that ticket didn't even see the accident, right? So the officer kind of has to go back and do an investigation and make their best guess in terms of what traffic violations occurred that led to the accident. Hope that makes sense. So, in a very serious accident involving certainly a fatality or even just really, really serious injuries, multiple vehicles, something like that, with serious injuries, they can go back and do like a real investigation where there's, accident reconstruction experts from the Illinois State Police and other agencies who come out and do all that stuff. They do that for a fatality. But most of the time it's a fender bender or even somebody is hurt, they broke a broken arm when the airbag deployed or, cut on their forehead from the windshield or whatever, and they take it to the hospital. And it's just the responding officer who's sort of doing the investigation. And I'm going to keep putting that in quotes because there are certainly varying levels of investigation. And then the officer's going to write, almost always, especially someone's hurt, they're going to write a ticket for something. The idea is that accidents don't occur unless there's some sort of violation, right? That's sort of the premise here, and it makes sense. So what are the most common ones? Failure to reduce speed to avoid an accident is one of them, and that is kind of like it sounds, but also not at all like it sounds. Everyone who gets that ticket says, I wasn't speeding. This is not a speeding ticket. It is failing to reduce the speed so that an accident would have been avoided, right? So you're following behind someone, something happens, this guy in front of you slams on the brakes, right? And you hit them from behind. If you had reduced your speed, you'd reduce your speed to avoid that accident, but you didn't. You hit them, right? So it's failure to reduce speed to avoid an accident. That can also be following too closely, right? You need to leave that gap in between. So if that person does brake, you have enough time to stop. So those are two very similar tickets. And again, I'm not going to go into the details of each. We have videos on pretty much all these tickets where we actually do break down what the law states on all these. But here I'm just going to kind of give you a bigger overview on those common tickets. Failure to yield, right, would be like whatever, at an intersection or someone's pulling out in front of you. You have to yield, right, to other traffic or pedestrians. Disobeying a traffic control device. A traffic control device is typically a sign or a light. The most common is a red light. You blow through the red light. You can get a ticket specifically for that. Each state's going to be a little different. Here in Illinois, we call it disobeying a traffic control device. Even something that says you got to merge, right? That's a traffic control device, a sign that says you need to merge. You didn't merge, you hit someone. That can be written a couple different ways. It can be failing to obey that sign, disobeying a traffic control device. It can also be improper lane usage, right? Failing to get in or maintain the proper lane. So there's a little bit of crossover here in the sense that a lot of different names for these, but these are all petty tickets, traffic tickets, where you can't go to jail for these. They're not criminal offenses, but the allegation is that you violated the Illinois Vehicle Code, the rules of the road, if you will. And then just as a result, you got in an accident. But even if there wasn't an accident, an officer had witnessed these violations, the violation in and of itself is what is ticketable, if you will, not the fact that there was just an accident. One of the questions that we get is like, well, this officer didn't even see the accident. You're right. Most of the time they don't, right? But they have to show up afterwards. They talk to the people involved. They talk to witnesses, right? Depending on the officer's level of training, they may make some judgments based on skid marks, direction of travel, where the cars stopped, right? Where the damage certainly is on those vehicles, right? Unit 1, front passenger side, unit 2, whatever, right? And you can make some, piece it together. The cop's going to issue tickets, and really, unfortunately, for people who are ticketed, my experience, the officer's not going to spend like a ton of time recreating this. He's going to make his best guess. He's going to write his report. He's going to issue the tickets, and it can get sorted out in court, right? Because then the other person from the accident, the one not at fault, right? We typically call unit number 1 is the one that's given the tickets and sort of the at fault, at least according to the officer. And unit number 2 is sort of the victim. We call that a complaining witness. So both parties will be summoned to go to court, and they can sort it out there. The complaining witness can give their statement in court at a trial. The person who was ticketed can give theirs at a trial, and it gets sorted out that way. So for that reason, guys, I'm sorry, but the officer's not spending a ton of time on this unless there's, serious injuries. Accidents are pretty common. All right. How can hiring a lawyer benefit you in this situation? Well, if you want to prove your innocence, you can go into court and do it yourself, certainly, or at least try to, or you can hire a lawyer who does this, right, to conduct a trial, because that's how you do it. You don't get an opportunity to just hey, judge, so no, man, judge, you got it all wrong. Here's what really happened. That's not how that works. That judge is going to stop you right there in your tracks and not let you speak. The place to do that is a trial. The forum to do that is a trial with a prosecutor, the complaining witnesses, other witnesses there, photos, videos if they exist, the officer's crash report or police report, medical reports, all those things are involved, right? And so you don't get to just go willy-nilly tell your story. It's you either have a trial or you don't. If you don't, a deal gets oftentimes worked out. Especially if you have an attorney that can, negotiate an outcome for you, a predetermined outcome. So, you're removing the risk of a trial and you say, okay, this is a great outcome. I can live with this. I know how this affects my license. I know what the costs are. I know how this affects my insurance. I know if I got to do traffic classes, I'm cool with this. I can live with this. Let's do it. That's an agreement, right? And obviously an attorney can be of great benefit in figuring out that agreement. But also, if you don't want to have that agreement or you can't reach an agreement, well, then we have a trial. And an attorney can conduct that trial. I'm just going to say it. An attorney who does this every day is going to conduct a better trial than the average person will, of course. So that's the benefit of hiring an attorney. Is either of those roads that you go down, it's a fork in the road, right? Either an agreement or a trial. And either one, it's almost certain that an attorney is going to benefit you. Also, I will also say that a civil case, right? So there's an accident, there's property damage, maybe the other person is injured. That can be a lawsuit, right? A personal injury case, right? The other person's out of work, their car's damaged, they had to go to the hospital, they got medical bills, all these things. That's a personal injury case. You see billboards for the personal injury attorneys all over. And a lot of attorneys will take that case, car accident case where someone's injured. The not at fault party is injured. That can affect you, right? I hope you have insurance. If you're the person who's ticketed, you have insurance and insurance helps with that. But you don't want to deal with a lawsuit if you don't have to. That is separate. Traffic tickets falls under the broad umbrella of criminal law, right? And then a lawsuit is under the umbrella of a civil lawsuit. Now, they're two separate things, two separate courtrooms, many times two separate courthouses, two separate judges, all those things. But there can be some crossover, right? Pleading guilty on the traffic ticket can possibly affect you on a civil suit. And so again, having an experienced attorney who's handled tens of thousands of cases our firm has, then we know how those things intersect and we can insulate you or at least not make it more likely that you're going to get sued. So handling those two things the right way can be a great benefit and worth for many people choose and say that that's well worth the money that they spend on a traffic lawyer to handle their traffic case. I've got other videos on this topic that go a bit more in depth. So if you have one of these specific tickets, or you want to learn a little bit more about how a traffic ticket in a civil personal injury case may intersect, we've got other videos on that on this channel. But now I hope I painted the broad picture of, what sort of tickets you can get as a result of being in a car accident here in Illinois. Thanks for watching.